We continue our series of the special feast days of the summer months. Today we are outside at the Marian Shrine on our campus of Trinity, and the church celebrates today the feast of the Transfiguration of Jesus, recorded in the Gospels of Saints Matthew, Mark, and Luke. So it might be a good idea to hear the story, and then our teaching and a prayer time to follow that in two short little segments today. So I will read the story from St. Matthew's account that he has given us of this feast day in the life of Jesus. It's from chapter 17 of St. Matthew's Gospel. After 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and led them up the high mountain by themselves. He was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, conversing with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, how good it is for us that we are here. If you wish, I will set up 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over all of them. And from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the apostles heard this, they fell prostrate and were very much afraid. But Jesus came and touched them and said, "Rise, do not be afraid." And when the disciples raised their eyes, they saw no one else but Jesus alone. The Gospel of the Lord. Now we'll take a look at that beautiful scene, this feast day of the Lord's Transfiguration. It has been celebrated in the Christian churches of the Eastern Rite since the 5th century, in our Western Rite Catholic churches since the Middle Ages. At this point in the life of Jesus, it is several months before his actual passion, sufferings, and death in Jerusalem. To the 3 apostles, Peter, James, and John, Jesus is seen in his resurrection glory of Easter. And we may wonder why Jesus chose those 3 apostles and take them to Mount Tabor, which is a beautiful mountain. I've been there. There's a beautiful Franciscan shrine on the top of the mountain where this story took place. Why didn't he take all of them to this extraordinary revelation of himself in the coming future glory? Why not the other 9? Well, perhaps, we say perhaps, because of their roles of apostolic leadership that was yet to come. For St. Peter, the leader of the 12, upon whom Jesus said, "You are Peter the rock, on whom I will build my church." St. James, who would become the head of the church in Jerusalem and would work with those thousands of those who became Christians on Pentecost. And he would be the first martyr of the 12 in the mid-60s AD. St. John the Evangelist, who would be given the care and home for Mary, Jesus' mother. Jesus did that on Good Friday, one of his 7 last teachings from the cross. St. John would write his 4th gospel, that we call it. He would write letters and be sent to prison to suffer there much. But in the meantime, Jesus would come and give him the content of the whole book of Revelation, the last book of the Holy Bible. Living to the end of the 1st century, he would be the last apostle to die, and so the age of the apostles came to an end. These 3 apostles were given a special grace to stay close to the Lord and pray with him. As we know, he began his passion in the Garden of Gethsemane on Holy Thursday night. Jesus showed these 3 apostles his glorious identity and divinity, to give them the strength that they would need in faith in light of what's coming to Jesus in Holy Week in the passion, sufferings, and death on Good Friday. Moses and Elijah were also with Jesus, representing the Old Testament law and prophets. As the event tells us, Peter wanted to erect 3 tents for Jesus, Moses, and Elijah, speaking with emotion and saying, "Oh Lord, how good it is for us to be here." Well, we know it's always good to be in the presence of Jesus. The Father's voice is heard and speaks again. What we heard at the feast of the baptism of Jesus at the Jordan River by St. John the Baptist, where God the Father said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." God the Father is telling the whole world then, in 32 AD, and now, today, 2020 AD, who his dear divine Son Jesus really is, and praising him for carrying out the Father's will and divine mission for all peoples for all time. The promised Messiah, whom the loving Father sent into our world, onto this planet, on that first Holy Christmas night in the cave of Bethlehem, the little Jewish baby lying in the manger of straw, loved and being taken care of by his blessed mother and family father, St. Joseph. They would become known as the Holy Family of Nazareth. And so we'll just pause for a little moment now.